Batman Brave and the Bold, issue 9, specifically just the first story, because this is the Tom King and Mitch Gerrard story. It's been a 4-part thing about Batman and Joker's first interaction together.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Winning Card, for the record. So, yeah, this was obviously something we were looking forward to. Gorgeous art. It's wrapping up this thing that's really made Joker feel like a horror villain, something that's this ethereal, creepy bad guy. Kind of loved it, and I think this is a solid final chapter. In some ways, I think it might be like almost hurt a little bit from the big gap from the last issue, because it kind of feels like we get just the climax and not like much of like the creepy Joker stuff is that we were getting consistently before. And I don't think that's actually something this issue should have had. It's just that because it's been a while since issue 3, I was looking forward to getting some of that, and instead it's more just the final confrontation and the fallout from it, if you will. But Batman's chasing Joker down in the Batmobile while Joker's in like a cop car. And they have this confrontation in the woods where you got the ha-ha-has, the old film silent movie panels, as Batman's looking for him. We get this gorgeous full-page spread of Joker jumping out with a knife. And
Garrett's draws such a lifeless Joker that's also full of life, right? Like the eyes, the body proportions and everything's there, and you feel the motion, but just it's like Quint says about the shark, they're lifeless eyes, like a doll's eyes. That's what Joker's working with, and it gives me the creeps every time I see the Joker. So, like, mission accomplished, Garrett.
He's a living paradox, is what you're saying.
True.
So, yeah, swipes at Batman, and there's a bit of some punchy. But at the end of the punching, Batman realizes the knife is, like, in his stomach. Like, Joker's managed to stab him. So, we get this thing where Batman actually passes out with the pain and wakes up, seemingly after dawn, because the lighting, the coloring's completely changed to being this sort of warm glow. And Joker's just sitting there injured, like over up to a tree, right next to Batman, basically, and he's not left. So this confrontation ends up continuing, and at this point, Alfred's came looking for him because he's worried. He wants to fight Batman. He wants to make sure Bruce is okay.
And Bruce does not want Alfred there. He's trying to, basically keeping him away. And that goes back to As the Chase, where Alfred was kind of chastising him. He was like, "You said you weren't going to do this. You got to come back to me," and this kind of stuff. That's what the subtext is. So stop doing this. Stop chasing this madman. And so when Alfred shows up, Joker can hear that he's talking to somebody, and Joker pops awake, and it's another one of these creepy moments. But I really liked that it added a sense of tension to where like Bruce needs to get this done with because he cannot have Joker around Alfred, Yeah,
so Batman pulls the blade out of his stomach as he's telling this story about how his father would always bait the worm himself because it's respect to the worm to not have someone else do it. And Batman's like, but to me, it doesn't seem to matter. Honor or no honor, the worm's still dead. And this really felt like a homage to the end of Killing Joke to me, this next part, because Batman comes over to him, seemingly, like you're not really sure if he's going to kill him. Like Batman's very menacing. He's looking down at him. It does that classic thing where it's just the all black cowl with the white eyes, and he picks up the knife like Michael Goddamn Myers, and he tells a joke. And this is what made me think of the end of Killing Joke, because if you remember the end of Killing Joke, that ambiguous ending in the rain where did Batman finally kill Joker or not? Batman starts laughing. Right, that's the end of the story. Is that they sort of laugh together, and then the panels go down to the water, and that's how the book ends.
Yeah.
Here, Batman tells a joke. He tells it's a really bad joke. He's like, the Batmobile wasn't starting, so I went to the mechanic and asked him to check the battery, and the mechanic, after thinking about it, said, "What's a Terry?" The joke being that because Batman calls everything the Batmobile, Batwing, Bat, whatever.
Look, you say it's not a good joke. I think it's a great dad joke. And this just seeds
Well, actually, no. Here's the thing. I'm not even critiquing it. because Joker brings up that it's a shit joke, and Joker critiques it later on, and I agreed with the son of a bitch, which really did not make me feel comfortable, but he's right.
No, but I think it works in the moment of, you know, and the idea of a structure of a joke, right? That, you know, Joker's looking into it way too much, and that's kind of what they say about comedy, right? Is, the more you start dissecting comedy, the less something ends up being funny. And you could almost say the same thing about Joker, right? The more you shine a light on Joker, the less of that air that he has, you know? So, so while it wasn't a great joke, it's a prime on dad joke that I feel like Bruce would make, right? Because Bruce doesn't really get humor. You know, he's very, like, I say that like he's a robot. He's not, but like, as Batman, he's not doing too much laughing, right?
Well,
so the fact that this is coming from this menacing figure as he's holding the knife, it almost makes it worse than the Joker, right?
Well, I don't think so much the point is that he doesn't get humor per se. Like, one of the things that he says later to the Joker when he goes to see him, because, you know, it does this ambiguous thing where it cuts to, like, Alfred and him fishing, and Bruce is kind of telling him about what happened and how he was still there and when he passed out and all that. And, you know, even this conversation is very important for the story, because it's Alfred talking about how his father also made mistakes. Because Bruce kind of criticizes him. Well, if my father was perfect, he wouldn't have went into an alleyway in a tuxedo, in a bad part of town kind of thing. And he's like, no, your father made mistakes just like you do. But the difference is that his dad tried to surround himself with other smart people who would help him, whereas Batman does not do that. Batman, at least, you know, early days Batman is very much about being solitary and being, you know, fighting this war alone. But yeah, it's this interesting idea that, like, him and Joker are very similar, and that's the scary part of it, is that there's like, they're both obsessed with something in the same way. They're kind of two sides of the same coin. And it finally reveals at the end of the conversation that he didn't stab Joker, he just sort of, like, you know, stabbed the ground next to his neck, in a kind of a menacing way, and Joker's got this big grin in his face. It's all that, but, you know, Alfred's saying, you know, when you look into him, you know, this thing that you do, you know, it's this, you know, when you first started saving people, I thought, oh, maybe this is a good thing Master Bruce is doing. Maybe this isn't a sign that, you know, we failed or whatever, and maybe this is actually healthy. But then once the Joker started doing his thing, Alfred kind of recognized some similarities with Batman, and even says to Bruce, like, when you looked into his eyes, don't you see something familiar? Isn't that something that you should be scared of, kind of thing? So
that image of him is in black and white too, with the red from the blood and the purple from his eye, and he's just creepily smiling, and it just, oh man, Garrett's knows mood. I'll give him, you know, all the other praise that we give him. This one really is this story's kind of dictated by the mood and the tone, and he just nails it.
Yeah. So there's that scene. This is one of the things that suffered a little bit from the delays, from, like, or not delays, but how long ago the last part was. Is that I vaguely remember this other rich guy that wanted to catch Joker, but I don't remember it well enough to really completely get this scene. I don't think.
I just know him as that. Oh, that's the guy that they drew to look like John Barenthal.
Yes, he's got the big chin. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a great bit of art though at the end of this where Batman or Bruce is in shadow and you can sort of see the Batman eyes even though he's not in Batman outfit. That's really good. But yeah, Joker is in Arkham and Batman goes to see him here at the end of the book, and this felt like the other homage to Killing Joke, because that's how that story starts.
That's right. That's right.
Very, very similar, like, side-on view as Batman's walking past the doors. Very intentional. But Batman goes to ask a question, why didn't you kill me? And of course, if you're a long-time Batman fan, you know this idea that Joker doesn't want to kill Batman because he likes playing the game with Batman is such a thing. So, but it makes sense that this being the first Batman-Joker interaction, this story, that, yeah, we're only just getting to that realization at the end of it for Batman. But I think this is the first time in the book that Joker's dialogue isn't the silent film. That now it's just like, I mean, you don't see him, like it all comes from behind the little glass window on his door in Arkham, and there's like a little smiley face that he's drawn on it, but you never see him. It's just this sort of like almost spooky, like directionless voice just coming from behind the door. But yeah, even Joker like sort of prods at him from being similar to him, and Batman trying to defend himself, saying so yeah. But Batman says this is the beginning of something, the two of us, and Joker's like, I think so too. Does it have to be? And then we actually go into the room and see Joker sitting in the darkness in his straitjacket as he continues this conversation.
And the slow like push in too, like almost Norman Bates-esque as the Joker's talking.
It's not even esque. I think it's directly that. Yeah.
Directly inspired. All right.
Yeah, I would say so, for sure. I
like this too, because it's where he critiques the Joker and it falls flat, and Batman's like, I don't think you get it. And then so Joker's like, no, I get it. I always get it. It's just not funny. And then Bruce goes, I could say the same about you. And Joker laughs. It's not like a laugh, but it's like So this is the game we're gonna play. It's like it clicks with him.
That was one of my favorite lines. Here is that line of no, I get it. It's just not funny. like that the idea of Batman saying, no, I get who you are and what you're doing, but it's just not funny, and it's never going to be. But yeah, so yeah, basically it ends with Joker saying, "Oh, Batman, my Batman, brave and bold, we're going to have such a grand time together, aren't we?" And then you just get one last silent panel of the laughter.
We're almost like the film too is falling apart. Like it's so damaged,
and there's
makes the smiley face.
Yeah, it's not just the smiley face. You'll notice his bat ears in the mouth as well.
That's right. It almost does. It does. It looks like the bat that flies towards Bruce.
Yeah.
In year one. Oh, I didn't even notice that till right now.
Yeah, it's neat.
That's fantastic.
It's a cool little thing. The art is gorgeous, obviously. The final points that it makes is great. I'm looking forward to reading this. This is probably a great one sitting just to read these 4 issues back to back.
Just don't read it at night when you're by yourself. That's all I ask.
I really loved this, and talking about it again is making me realize just how much I loved some of these little moments of like Joker being easily the worst villain Batman's ever encountered. So there is maybe a moment where you think, oh, will he kill him? I mean, we know he's not going to, but like that. But for him, like, should I finally cross that line? Yeah. But then doesn't.
Well, and that's where that tension comes in, right? With Alfred, we know it doesn't, but King and Garrett's do such a great job of the urgency Bruce has to keep Alfred away, and that almost, it gives it like that. Well, I'm gonna have to do this. It gives it that tone. And where it ends with him with a knife sticking next to the into the ground, and just a big shit-eating grin on Joker's face, but yeah, this is one of the best Joker stories ever. I'm willing to put that.
That's bold. I think I like the idea of Batman telling Alfred to stay away and not get close to Joker is kind of like almost unknowing to himself, but he's almost kind of like admitting that Joker's the dark side of him, and that keeping Alfred away is also a sign of not letting Alfred get too close to him. Right. And I think that's a really good little bit of subtext there. Yeah,
it works in parallel.
Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, I mean, obviously it has to end with the beats of we're going to, it's that line from Dark Knight. We're going to do this forever, aren't we? Right. Yeah. So. Yeah. That was always going to be the point that it ends on. I think this issue only suffers a little bit in that because it's been so long since the other 3, and I almost wanted more Joker, like, going after people because we haven't had it in so long.
There was I don't know if you mentioned it. It might have got lost because I was looking through the art, but when Bruce is fighting Joker, he's laying in the hits, he's listing the people that Joker's killed.
Oh yeah, that's so.
And
good.
It really brings that that it's this quest for vengeance and to right these wrongs that's what also drives him to the point to where Joker can also say, see, we're not that different. We just, are on opposite sides. I kind of like that vibe there, that as he's naming these people that Joker probably doesn't remember, right? But Bruce does, and that's why he's doing this. So really, really good sequence there.
Yeah, for sure. I think this was a great interpretation of the first Batman Joker meeting. I had read, way back in my early comic reading days, I read the Brubaker version of this, which was the Batman Who Laughs. No, it was the Man Who Laughs. Sorry,
Man Who Laughs. Yeah. Yep.
And I remember that being a solid enough version of the first Joker Batman meeting, a bit more traditional, I guess. Whereas this was obviously a bit more ethereal and more like a horror movie of just how much impact Joker has especially when you can contrast it to most versions of Batman's origin are about him making the criminal underworld fear him, right? And they have to know to fear the Batman. And then Joker is just this horror movie force in this. There's something really interesting that, and I think they also tying it to the silent film. And we've talked a lot, especially the first issue, about what that does and how that sort of creates a certain vibe for the character. But I think as a whole, silent film inherently feels old to us, and it's 100 years old at this point.
Yeah,
and it makes it feel like Joker coming out of the shadows to prey on Gotham isn't something new coming out of the shadows to prey on Gotham. It's something that was always there before. That's just
been revealed.
Yeah, so all that stuff's great. This is fantastic.
I can't wait to read this all in one sitting so I can really get it. So once the moment this collection comes out, I'll definitely be picking that up because again, I do have to say, if not it's the best, it's definitely my favorite of the Joker stories that we've gotten in recent memory. So but yeah, it kind of does the impossible there where it kind of makes me like the Joker,
Yeah, you've not read other good Joker stories. Come on.
I'm going to tell you, I can't name any off the top of my head right now that aren't the Killing Joke, which I'm not that big of a fan of. I think it's fine. But yeah, I can't, nothing comes across my brain at this instant. I'm sure if I looked at a list, I'd be like, oh yeah, that one was good. And that one was good. I'm sure they're out there, but this one really made an impact.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, very good. I'm sure a nice deluxe hardcover. What's interesting is that it's not actually that much longer than the Killing Joke. I mean, Killing Joke was just a one-shot, but it's 60 pages or something like that. But this is only 4 regular-sized issues worth of stories, so it's only about 100 pages, if that even. So, what are you rating this Brave and the Bold story?
I'm going to give this a 9.
Yeah, I have a 9. In some ways, it may be my least favorite of the 4, but it's still fantastic and still does so many great things. So, very good.